Meteorologist Zach Fradella back here with you on this Sunday afternoon. A Sunday afternoon that's quickly turned into really we might be watching one of the worst natural disasters. Well, we are watching one of the worst natural disasters that this country's ever seen in and around the metropolitan Houston area, all across southeast Texas, and now spreading into portions of Louisiana, unfortunately. Let me show you a look at the latest radar picture because this sort of shows how everything is playing out. Center of circulation of what is still Tropical Storm Harvey, going to remain that way probably for the next consecutive days, is still situated just to the southwest of Houston, okay? And we have this southerly flow, and that southerly flow stretches all the way from southeastern Texas all the way to southeastern Louisiana, and you can see the rain has become very widespread now. We have rain all the way from New Orleans, going through Baton Rouge shortly, all through Lafayette. There's actually a tornado warning when I'm recording this south of Lafayette. Lake Charles is embedded in very heavy rainfall. We have had some reports of street flooding in Lake Charles. It has not gotten to the point where it's a significant flooding like they're seeing in Houston, but anything we see now, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen later tonight, and I'm going to show you why in just a few minutes. As we go, right now we currently have flash flood warnings almost for just about all of southeast Texas. They're in the green. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to zoom in for you and show you what I'm talking about. As I zoom in, you'll see that we have flash flood warnings. They're highlighted in the green areas. They extend all across the Houston area, down south, down to the west of the city, encompassing all of southeast Texas, all the way to the Louisiana border. And then we have flash flood warnings in effect for Calcasieu Parish, Jeff Davis Parish. This includes the city of Lake Charles. And you see that the rain is just now beginning in portions of southwest Louisiana. Now, it's been raining heavy all morning long, but you get the drip that look offshore. We're getting more and more of these little lines or these bands of rain, and that is what has me concerned. And it's not so much today. It looks like today what we're going to see is, and this happens a lot, whenever you get a tropical system, what happens during the daylight hours, after you get through the overnight and morning hours, during the daylight hours, things calm down just a little bit with the rain. The rainfall rates are not as excessive. But during the overnight hours, that's when these tropical systems tend to explode their convection or explode their rainfall rates, and that's what we're going to be watching for. Right now, it's still pouring in many spots of southwest Louisiana, and you can notice offshore, we still have these little bands that are going to be coming inland as we go through the afternoon hours. But there's not one long band that's just sitting over the same areas. It's sort of spreading itself out, which is great news. That's what we want to see, at least now. The only issue is we're dropping a couple inches of rain right now, and you're already getting to the point where you're seeing street flooding, and then all that water is going to get into, the ditches, the rivers, and the water levels are going to rise. And then if we get any more additional heavy rain, which we are, that's where we're going to start to quickly see those kind of problems add up over the next consecutive days. I just want to start and show you something here. This is from the National Weather Service. This is what they tweeted out earlier, and this goes to show you what we're dealing with. This is a catastrophic event. This is something we've never seen a hurricane move inland and stop and just sit there for a week. Now, Harvey is not a hurricane anymore, but it's just something that we've never seen before. So the National Weather Service tweeted this out earlier. This event is unprecedented, and all impacts are unknown and beyond anything experienced. Follow orders from officials to ensure safety. Well, what does that mean to you at home? As meteorologists, we've never seen something like this happen before. The models have thrown out the red flags. We've predicted this stuff. We've said, hey, this is going to be pretty bad, especially for southeast Texas. And look, southeast Texas is going to be the ground zero for this event. Houston in particular is going to see the worst impacts for this event. But that doesn't mean the impacts are going to just be baby across southwest Louisiana, south central Louisiana, southeast Louisiana. I'm very concerned about the western portion of Louisiana, especially as we go into tonight and the next few days as the storm gets itself back offshore. And it does look like it's going to do just that. Here's the latest outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. This is additional rainfall. This is not stuff that's fallen already. This is additional rainfall. And we've seen the numbers increase for portions of southwest Louisiana, really all of South Louisiana. The numbers have gone up. Notice that is a 26.1, almost situated right over Houston. So that's between now and 7 days from now. So that's over the duration of the rest of this event. Still another 2 feet expected in Houston. That's why their problems are only going to get worse. Hopefully we can get a break for the Houston metropolitan area, which we may do. And I'll show you that in just a few. As we look at Southwest Louisiana, the yellow little shading makes it almost, probably basically say that yellow shading makes it to Lake Charles. That is 15 inches. So that's 15 inches expected between now and the end of the week. I want you to remember, these are estimates. The entire area is not going to see 15 inches, but some parts in that area might see a little less. Some parts in that area might see a little more, and that's the problem. Is some areas are going to see more, unfortunately, and even as we get into places that are across southeast Louisiana and locations like that, you're talking 7, 5 to 10 inches, which if it falls in a short period of time, which these bands are capable of doing, that's a lot of rain, and that's rain that's unfortunately going to cause some flooding. Let me show you the HRR model because this did perfectly. I think last night what it did with the Houston event, it forecasted it perfectly. Now, the HRR model is a high-resolution model. It basically shows us the radar going out over the next 18 hours. We can't look at it, say, 3 days from now, but it's a short-range model. It's something that shows us only a couple of hours in the future, in this case 18, and it can show us the radar. It basically has the picture right now, correct, as far as this is the initialization, this is what's going on right now with the radar. I'll put this into motion as we go into the evening hours tonight. The rain is heavy at times, but it's not consistent across Southwest Louisiana, which I think we'll be able to drain things at least okay. I don't see significant flooding in Southwest Louisiana happening sometime today. There is some flooding, there is some street flooding, but I'm talking about significant flooding. This is what has me worried. Once we get into tonight, this is getting around midnight. Notice this new band that sets up offshore. And what happens with that band, by the time we get into your Monday morning, that is trouble. And that is something that we're going to be watching. This is obviously could be wrong. We hope it's wrong because honestly, if the band sets up like that, we could be talking Houston totals. We could be talking a foot of rain in a short period of time. And this is what it's showing now. It could be wrong, but yesterday it did a very good job of predicting where the very heavy rainfall will be, and it put it right over Houston. We were like 20 inches over Houston. Sure enough, that's what happened. This band looks to set up just a little bit farther east tonight, which is why I'm a little bit concerned for the western portion of the state. Notice the eastern portion of the state, though. There's really not much going on. But again, this is probably going to slowly migrate eastward. Now it's going to weaken as it does so, but you clearly see that boundary right on the northeastern side of the center, which the center is now right along the coast. According to this model, by first thing tomorrow morning, the center is right along the coast. That's the area that you have to avoid. It's not right over that center. It's the northeastern quadrant of these storms. That's where all the heavy rainfall usually falls, especially once they start to weaken. So how much rain is falling in this? Let me actually, I'm going to scroll down for you and I'm going to plot that on here. The total accumulated precipitation that this model thinks over the next 18 hours. Remember, this is in 18 hours. And if you look closely, it's got a couple bullseyes right along I-10 from places like Beaumont to Lake Charles. And that's, I mean, unfortunately, it's getting up there in the 14 to 20 inch range. That has me concerned, and I'll be honest with you, it has me very concerned, because any rain that we receive right now on top of that big band later tonight is going to be trouble. A couple of other points I want to make. I made my points about that's what's going on in the near term, and I keep posting this on social media too, that this is an ongoing issue. This is going to be ongoing for multiple days, and it's more of a nowcasting thing. As things play out, we can forecast out a few hours. Considering the storm isn't moving, it's very difficult to tell you what's going to happen on Wednesday or what's going to happen on Tuesday. But I can tell you right now, it's going to rain for most of today, and then tonight, I think that next boundary starts to organize. That one could be a big one for the far southeastern portion of Texas, like the Beaumont area, and also portions of Southwest Louisiana. These are the latest track models. I just wanted to point this out because it gives you the idea we're dealing with this for multiple days. It almost, unfortunately, for me to say, it's just starting in many instances, especially for the Louisiana, say South Louisiana. I hate to post these spaghetti plots. I've said it before too, that, all of these ones that are gone west, they're not good models. There's no reason to put them on here, but that's why they're called spaghetti plots, okay? And it gives people a false sense of hope that, hey, this is going to go west into Texas and be gone in a few days. That's not the case. The most likely scenario is you could see all of the models are taking it back offshore, okay? And that's going to go as we go into Monday into Tuesday. Around Tuesday, it'll be somewhere right here, okay, offshore, and then slowly work up, okay? Remember what I said, the northeastern quadrant. If the center goes right over Houston, that might be a good thing for them. Last night when the worst weather happened, the center was to their south and west. If the center is here, right over Houston, guess where the worst of the weather is going to be? Right on this eastern side, and it could extend very far too on the eastern side, especially once it scoots inland. Easily those bands start to scoot outward, and that's why I'm still very concerned about Louisiana. I don't know how any other ways to put it, that Louisiana is not out of the woods with the storm. We're seeing what's happening in Houston, and we need to learn our lessons now that no, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what's happening in Houston is going to happen in every city in Louisiana, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge. That's not what I'm saying, but the potential is there. And when you start to see these track models doing this little thing offshore where it could get a little bit stronger again and then scoot inland, you know where the center was last night was not over Houston, okay? It was more so over here, and Houston was right here, okay? So if the center is over Houston, where's the worst of the weather? You kind of get my drift, and that's what has me concerned. That's why you need to pay attention to the forecast. You need to continuously monitor the weather and be ready to shelter in place. If the weather gets bad, do not say, I need to get home, or do not say, oh, I need to get here, I need to get there. When the weather gets bad, you hear those flash flood warnings going off on your phone, you need to just stay put. It's not worth it. You see what's happening in Houston where people are driving into flooded roadways and stuff like that. In this type of setup, we could be talking about life-threatening flooding, which means the water can get so high, so fast, that it can sweep your car away in some locations. Okay, so that's just something I just want to draw your attention to the possibilities here. We can hope for the best, though. Hopefully that this a weekend or something, but the possibilities are there that the worst of this storm is going to come for portions of Louisiana, especially the southwestern corner of the state, within the next, say, 1 to 3 days. In the next few days, as it moves offshore, this is the latest track from the National Hurricane Center, and you can see it's going to scoot down south, get back offshore, could strengthen a little bit. There's not a question to jump to a middle grade tropical storm again. Not so much the wind. We're not really worried about the wind. This is not going to blow up into a major hurricane situated right offshore, and it's not really a windy event. And then as it moves northward, that puts this corner of the state in a very unfortunate position. And that's why I want to draw your attention to that, continue to draw your attention to that, and I'll continuously monitor the radar as we go throughout the night, as we go throughout the next consecutive days, because again, this is not something that's just going to go away anytime soon. This is going to be a long haul event. It's going to be one that we're going to be talking about this Wednesday, Thursday, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one more time. And don't forget that there's a few tornado warnings on here. One's on the west side of Houston. There's still that one that's south of Lafayette. Anytime you have a landfalling tropical system or a spinning tropical system that's that close to the coast, you can get little tornadoes. There's spin-up tornadoes. Regularly, they're not big. I know there was one in Texas that we saw a lot of video of that was a relatively bigger tornado, but they're so fast. They're very fast moving, and they develop in a minute, and then 5 minutes later, they're gone. It's not one that we're going to sit here and watch on the ground for a long duration, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. When you hear that tornado warning go off on your phone, when you hear about any tornado warning, if it's for your location, just get in a safe place. And that is probably the best advice with these tornado warnings, because they're so fast that you're not going to have time to react, and you're not going to have time to go, oh, where is it exactly? Just react to that warning. I'll put this in motion one more time just to show you. We have a swath of very heavy rainfall that's going to continue to move into our coastline, not only today as we go into tonight, and we're going to be watching for those new bands to develop. And it's where those new bands develop. They can drop easily a foot of rain or more in 12 hours, which happened in the Houston metropolitan area within the last 24 hours. So again, we're tracking Harvey, a serious situation for southeast Texas. Louisiana just now getting in on the act of the rainfall, with some flooding starting to develop in the southwestern portion of the state, including the city of Lake Charles. But for the most part, I think the next few days are going to be the event for us. That is going to be the time we're going to have to watch very closely on how this all plays out. I'm meteorologist Zach Fridella. Stay safe out there.